Okay, let's see what you guys thought about today's questions. Number one, why does the play begin with the Weird Sisters? By the way, Weird Sisters, have you guys seen that title anywhere before? Like, I don't know, in Harry Potter? It's the name of the band, the weird that they hear on the radio? No? Okay. You guys have read Harry Potter, right? Okay, okay. I'm not too old yet. So why does the play begin with these witches? I talked with one group about this question, and they mentioned a few things like to grab attention. Yes. So Macbeth is an indoor play. In an outdoor play, the audience is directly exposed to the sky and to nature. But an indoor play is isolated. So in an outdoor play, getting the audience's attention kind of feels like you're in the middle of the market and you're calling to people to come over and watch. But in an indoor space, they're already there. That's the reason that the audience is there. So all you really have to do to grab their attention is to begin the performance. And so that's what they do. Thunder and lightning, it's indoors, right? It's dark. You need fire to see. So they can easily make it dark and create thunder and lightning effects. And that really grabs people's attention. Another thing that this group mentioned is that um, beginning like this creates atmosphere and suspense. Yes, atmosphere we just talked about. It's dark, thunder, lightning. Suspense. People who walk into this performance know that it's going to be about Macbeth killing the king, but and they probably know that there's going to be some witches involved. But the play doesn't begin with Macbeth; it begins with the witches, and that might lead people to think, "Wait, what's going on? What will they do to Macbeth?" It'll create some curiosity and suspense. And then another point they mentioned is that the play uh, has unusual supernatural elements. This might be good for advertising. Um, so, like, it's not just a play about a guy killing a king, it's a play about a guy killing a king because some witches told him to. And that might be a more interesting play that people might want to watch. And so, if the audience comes in expecting the witches, maybe Shakespeare did not want to make them wait, right? You want to see some witches? Here you go. First thing. So the audience knows that they're getting what they paid for. And then one last thing this group mentioned is uh, if you read these opening lines, they may feel different from what we usually expect a Shakespeare line to feel like. Let me read a few lines for you. When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won, that will be ere the set of sun. Where the place? Upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. Does that sound a bit strange to you? Let me read some more regular lines. What bloody man is that? He can report, as seemeth by his plight of the revolt, the newest state. This is the sergeant who like a good and hardy soldier fought against my captivity. Hail, brave friend. Can you tell the difference between these two kinds of lines? These feel more mysterious, more strange, more, or I should say, less natural. It's not exactly how we talk in English. And there are two reasons for this. First is the meter is different. In a regular Shakespearean line, it uses what we call blank verse, which is unrhymed iambic pentameter. It's uh, unstressed and then stressed. Dun 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 dun. What bloody man is that he can report? And this meter is closest to how English usually sounds in daily life. But the witches don't talk like that. When shall we three meet again in thunder, lightning, or in rain? Dun 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 dun. This is called I think it's called broken trochaic tetrameter. Completely different meter. It's stressed and then unstressed for 3.5 feet. Dun 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 dun. So it doesn't sound like natural English speech. And the second part of this is in a regular Shakespeare line, it does not rhyme. Report, revolt, sergeant, fought, friend, broil, no rhymes. But the witches speak in couplets, which means uh, the lines rhyme 2 by 2. So again and rain. I know it doesn't sound like a rhyme today, but in those days, this was a rhyme. Done, one, sun. Heath and Macbeth, I know, again, doesn't look like it, but it used to rhyme. So the way they speak is also unnatural because in daily life, we don't end each sentence with a rhyme, but they do. So the way that they talk also makes the audience feel like something strange is going on. That these are not natural, regular human beings. And that goes with helping to create the atmosphere of the play. Okay, you guys have other thoughts about question 1? All right, number 2. Oftentimes to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths. I talked with, let's see, Act 1, Scene 3. I talked with one group about this question, and they agree. What line is it? It's 123. So Banquo here is talking about the witches, right? He's saying, Macbeth is saying that they said I would become Thane of Cawdor, and I did become Thane of Cawdor. So does that mean that everything else they said will also come true? And Banquo is like, maybe. Might yet enkindle you unto the crown besides the Thane of Cawdor. So yes, maybe you will in fact become king. However, 'tis strange. And oftentimes to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths, win us with honest trifles to betray us in deepest consequence. So he's saying sometimes people who want, well, he's saying evil spirits, but really he means people who want to hurt us might tell us some truth, some small truths, and not tell us the bad consequences of following their advice. And yes, so the group I talked with agreed with this idea. It's not just about, are the things that you say true? It's also about, are there other true things that you're not saying? Everything the witches say is true, literally. Um, Macbeth will become Thane of Cawdor, true. Macbeth will become king, true. Banquo's children will become kings, true. Macbeth need not fear any man born of woman, true, because Macduff was not born from a woman; he was cut from a woman's body. So everything they say is literally true, but it's not the whole truth, right? That's why when we watch like an American crime show, and someone in court starts to give testimony as a witness, they have to swear on the Bible to tell the truth. First one, second one, the whole truth, and then the third one, nothing but the truth. All three are important. If you only tell the truth, but not the whole truth, then that's what the witches are doing. They're omitting important, truthful information. And if you tell the truth, the whole truth, but you tell things other than the truth as well, then we don't know which parts are true and which parts are not true. So it's not just about telling the truth, it's about telling all of the important truth so that the person is not misled. You can say something true, and the person you're talking to will get a false idea, depending on how you say these things. So maybe you've gotten into an argument with someone online and they said something like, "What? I'm just telling you the truth." But why are they telling you the truth? What is their purpose in telling you this? The truth is not always um, positive. The truth can be a weapon. The truth can be harmful. A related situation is maybe in an argument, someone is saying, "What? I'm just asking questions." Again, questions can also be harmful. Like if I say, "Are you an idiot?" I'm not just asking you a question, right? There is an intent behind that kind of sentence. So the three witches give us a very good example of how the truth can be misused even when it is still true. That's something that I think we should all be careful about and be aware of to protect ourselves as well. Especially today on social media in Taiwan, there's a lot of propaganda, whether from China or from the US or wherever. People will often say things that are technically true, but there's a lot of extra information that they're not telling you. And we should be careful about that. That is literally the definition of critical thinking. When something is said to you or presented to you, can you tell whether you should believe it? And in order to do this, we need to think about what is not being told, what is not being presented. And so like a lot of people will say, "Oh, critical thinking is important. We have to teach you critical thinking. You have to learn critical thinking." Critical thinking basically just means you know enough about the situation, you know enough about how the world works, so that when someone tells you something, you have some kind of standard of judgment to decide whether you should believe it. So the best way to learn critical thinking is to read more, to learn different ideas, different points of view, so that among all of these different ideas, you can form your own standard of judgment. That is critical thinking. And you can learn that by reading literature, because literature is about the different worldviews and perspectives and ideas of different people throughout history. So when someone says you have to learn critical thinking, you can say, I'm studying literature. Okay, do you have other thoughts about question 2? No, okay, let's move on to question 3. Lady Macbeth says, calls on spirits to unsex her. This is a famous soliloquy. A soliloquy in a Shakespeare play, where is it? 1-5. A soliloquy is in a Shakespeare play when somebody talks to themselves for an extended length of time. So when Lady Macbeth says from line 37 all the way to 54, this is a soliloquy. It's an extended length. She's talking to herself. A soliloquy is different from a monologue. Both in Chinese we translate as 独白, but a monologue is usually other people can hear the person talking. A soliloquy is something that other people do not hear. In the movie we watched, they decided to turn these soliloquies into mental narration, into voiceovers, 旁白, which is logical because nobody else is supposed to hear those lines. So when we say Lady Macbeth is doing a soliloquy, talking to herself, she's actually thinking to herself, thinking out loud. So what does she say here? So she has just finished reading the letter from Macbeth, and she says to herself, the raven himself is horse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Basically, Duncan is about to die. He is so about to die that the bird of death is crying itself hoarse. 那个死亡之鸟已经叫到沙哑了，他Duncan是如此即将要死。And then, come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts. Mortal here means death. Unsex me here and fill me from the crown to the toe top full of direst cruelty. Let's continue and then we'll see what she's talking about. Make thick my blood. Stop up the excess and passage to remorse, that no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between defect and it. So this is saying, stop me from feeling guilt. Compunction, the noun, means guilt. Why might she feel guilt? Because of nature. What kind of nature? The nature of a woman. So she's saying, don't let me feel the reactions that a woman might have to these thoughts of killing the king. Right? Come to my woman's breasts and take my milk for gall, you murdering ministers. So milk is, of course, the liquid that supports life. Gall is the liquid that supports bravery in action. So again, change my female or women characteristics into the characteristics of a man. Come, thick night, and pall thee in the dunnest spoke of hell, that my keen knife see not the wound it makes. Okay, that's not important. Basically, it's saying, make sure nobody sees me kill the king. So it's this part. I can't. It's the part in the middle where she says, like, make me not feel what a woman would feel at the thought of murder. And she's doing this by calling on spirits, not God, not nature, spirits. Apparently evil spirits, because she's asking for something unnatural to happen. In the values of those days, this is unnatural for a woman to do and feel. So she has to call on evil spirits to help her do this. Yeah, that's basically what the group I talked with mentioned. Let's see if there's anything else. My fell purpose. The word fell is still used today, usually in the idiom one fell swoop, which means all at once or in one single action. Fell means like vicious, aggressive. In this case, evil. Is that what it says? Fierce, cruel. Yes. Okay. And it's interesting that we don't know if Lady Macbeth has always been like this, or if she got this idea from reading Macbeth's letter. Because the first thing we see of Lady Macbeth is she's already reading the letter. Now, obviously, her character already includes a lot of ambition. That's why she has this response. It's probably also related to how she became Lady Macbeth. like her family or herself had to find Macbeth and agree to the marriage. They saw something in Macbeth that they wanted. So she's in the position, she gets the key information, and she becomes someone like this. But what was she like before receiving this letter? How did she behave as a normal duchess, if you will? I don't know the female version of Thane, but like the wife of a Thane. It's interesting to think about, right? Was she always so nakedly power hungry, or did the ideas in that letter infect her mind and transform her into this kind of woman? We know that words have power. This letter apparently has a lot of power. You may have heard the idea that words are magic, or even in like Harry Potter, right? They use spells, magic words. Um, and that a lot of that is a metaphor for how words can literally make us think things and feel things. Or in this case, make Lady Macbeth suddenly want to kill a king. Okay, do you guys have other thoughts or questions about number 3? Okay, if not, let's move on to number 4. So we know that Macbeth and Lady Macbeth have this idea, but they also still have to play host to Duncan. So now that we know what they're thinking, does that change how we feel about their interactions? And I just want to remind everyone that Macbeth is already thinking about murder before the king arrives. So Act 1, Scene 4, the king arrives. Uh, they have a brief dialogue here. And then Act 1, Scene 6, uh, same thing, except it's with Lady Macbeth. So I was talking with one group about this, and they said, now that we know they have murder in their hearts, this dialogue feels very fake. So we can take a closer look at this. Enter Macbeth, and then Duncan says, "The sin of my ingratitude even now was heavy on me. Thou art so far before that swiftest wing of recompense is slow to overtake thee. Would thou hadst less deserved, that the proportion both of thanks and payment might have been mine. Only I have left to say, more is thy due than more than all can pay." Basically, Duncan is saying, you have done such great service to me, I cannot repay you enough. This makes me feel like an ingrate, makes me feel so bad. Would you had rather not have been so great so that I could repay all of it? But now, um, more is thy due than more than all can pay. We owe you so much that we cannot repay you. This is very polite language. It's also very passionate language. He's repeating the same thing 3 times using quite colorful words, right? The swiftest wing. And then he even uses a counterfactual, like if only. So like this is very emotional language. And then look at what Macbeth says. The service and the loyalty I owe in doing it pays itself. Your Highness's part is to receive our duties, and our duties are to your throne and state, children and servants, which do but what they should by doing everything safe toward your love and honor. He's basically describing the feudal system, 封建制度, right? The king is the leader and his followers are supposed to serve. That's basically what he's saying. He's basically saying, oh, we serve you because it's our duty. So cold. And he does use words like love and honor, but he doesn't, they're very abstract words. He doesn't really describe them. He doesn't express his emotion. He doesn't say like something like, "Oh, it makes me so happy to be able to serve you as much as I can." He doesn't say any of that. He just says, "It's my duty." And then we can go to Act 1, Scene 6, when Duncan talks to Lady Macbeth. Uh, Here she says, "All our service in every point twice done, and then done double, were poor and single business to contend against those honors deep and broad, wherewith your majesty loads our house." So here she's saying, none of the service that we do to you can compare to the honor you bestow on us for visiting our house. This is slightly better. Uh, but it is still, let's keep going. For those of old and the late dignities heaped up to them, we rest your hermits. Those is referring to dignities. So for all of the honor that you have given us, and for all of the honor you are currently giving us, we worship you. This is better. It's more colorful language, but it's still very traditional. It's a religious language. And we know that in those days, political power is quite closely related to religion. So it's not very colorful. It's slightly better than Macbeth, but it's still not very expressive. And then later she says, your servants ever have theirs themselves, and what is theirs in compt, to make their audit at your highness's pleasure, still to return your own. So she's saying all of what we have, all of who we are yours. She is also describing the feudal system. It's just a factual description of the situation. So this line is quite cold. There's no personal expression. There's no emotion in these lines. And that could be one part of why the group I talked to said that these lines feel fake. You don't see that personal emotion when they say these seemingly respectful words. So like these lines could be made very interesting if we have a good actor and a good director. Should these cold lines be delivered with an emotional physical performance as a kind of to hide their true emotions? Or should they be delivered with a very stiff and wooden and inexpressive physical performance? The scenes can feel quite different depending on the director's choice. So like with a more expressive performance, they might seem more cunning and evil, whereas with a less expressive performance, they might seem like they're still nervous and anxious and trying to hide the truth. It can feel quite different. Okay, further thoughts or questions about number 4? If not, let's move on to question 5. When Macbeth and Lady Macbeth finally get to meet and talk about this, Macbeth has some objections, but Lady Macbeth convinces him. How does she do this? So first, let's look at his objections, if I can find this scene. Here, okay. So first of all, this blow might, uh, we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught, return to plague the inventor. So he's saying, if we do something bad, the consequence might be bad for us. Today we call this karma, right? What goes around comes around. But he's saying, if we create a precedent that you can kill the king, and then I become king, doesn't that mean that somebody could kill me? So that's the first reason. Then another reason, I am his kinsman and his subject. So these are reasons 2 and 3. In a feudal system, the nobles are all related. So the king is Macbeth's relative, and it's not. It's even less okay to kill a relative. So that's reason number two. Reason number three, he's the king. I'm the subject. I'm not supposed to kill the king. Reason number three. Reason number four, I am his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself. And this is a very important idea. In a world where you don't have good information, you don't know who you can trust, a host is supposed to protect their guest. This is a sacred duty. And to betray this sacred duty is a sin against society and a sin against God. There's literally a story about this in the Bible. Sodom and Gomorrah, the story of Lot and the angels, and you can look that up online if you're interested. We don't have time to talk about that today. Next reason, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, his virtues will plead like angels. So basically, he's a good king. There's no reason to kill him. So all of these reasons, they sound pretty good, right? And they are convincing to Macbeth. But then when Lady Macbeth comes and Macbeth says, we will proceed no further in this business, Lady Macbeth gets really, really mad. And here are the things that she says. Here. Art thou afeared to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? So you want the outcome, but you don't want to create the outcome. You hypocrite, you coward. And then she says, Macbeth says, I dare do all that may become a man, which means like everything that a person is supposed to do, I will do, but I won't break any rules. But Lady Macbeth takes the word man, which means human, and she uses it to mean man, as in not a woman. And the reason is she says that if I were in your position, I would rather kill my own baby rather than not do this, because had I so sworn as you have done to this, you gave me your word that we're going to do this. And a man does not break his promise. Did you notice where he promised her? It's in the letter. If I can find the letter. Oh, it's the same. It's the same here. What greatness is promised thee? So like he literally uses the word promise. So Lady Macbeth is like, you can't break your word, that no man breaks his word. And she uses that crazy example of she would rather kill her own baby than break her own word. And then Macbeth is like, but what if we fail? He literally says, if we should fail. And Lady Macbeth says, you know what? As long as you are brave enough, we're not going to fail. Screw your courage to the sticking place and we'll not fail. And then she gives him the plan of how we're going to do this. So to summarize, first, she insults him by calling him a hypocrite and a coward. Then she insults him by saying his behavior makes him less than a man. And then she gives a crazy example of what a real man would do, even though in this case it's herself. And then finally, she gives him the plan for how we can do this. Like, I don't know about you, but that does sound kind of convincing. And it reminds us that when we read older literature like this, basically every writer has learned oratory, the art of making speeches to convince people, to change their minds. And they learn oratory not in order to change people's minds, but because oratory is a great source of Greek and Latin. So when studying Latin, when studying Greek, they also absorb these ideas about how to change people's minds. So when Shakespeare designed this conversation, he knew exactly what he was doing. Macbeth is a coward. He is afraid of things. Good. Insult him. Make him afraid of failing. Make him afraid of looking bad. Then, because he's so afraid, he hasn't thought about how should we succeed. Good. Give him a plan. Like Lady Macbeth's speech is specifically designed to, let's say, motivate Macbeth. It's a really great piece of oratory, a really great speech, but it only works on one person. Okay, do you have other thoughts or questions about today's discussion? No? All right, so before next week, please read um, Acts 2 and 3. 第二幕,第三幕. All right, see you next week.